Hey everyone, it's Maydad here from YNV Health and Wellness, where we strive to offer clients ongoing education, either one-on-one or in groups such as our Footprints Retreat. And today we've got a great session that is going to be on nutrition. Tonight I'm joined with Nadia Barkos from Chill Technology and Nikki from the Health Emporium. Hi Nick and hi Nadia, how are you both doing?
Hi, Megan.
Good, thanks.
It's good to have you here. Nadia, I know you're getting over the flu. How are you feeling?
Yeah, a little bit better now. I'm looking forward to getting back under my blanket and pillow.
And Nick, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really good.
Awesome. Great to see you guys. Last time we caught up was when we ran the Footprint Retreat, which was really successful. Great input from you and amazing feedback from everybody. They just wanted more and more. So it's great to see you here tonight. I'm sure you're going to be able to enlighten us and the viewers on a lot of things that you can share on tonight's topic, which is gut health and nutrition. Um, so, in saying that, I wanted to ask you. We have a series of questions, and Nadia and I were going to ask you a series of questions tonight. And the first one's obviously, if you could tell us a little bit about your background and what got you into um, naturopathy and nutrition, and how long have you been working in your line of work?
Okay, so I have been a naturopath for 4 years. I did 6 years of study to get where I am. My interest started probably about 10, maybe almost 15 years ago when I had a lot of my own health concerns. And a lot of doctors just didn't really know what to do with me. So I sort of started going down the track of like doing my own research, looking into different diets, nutrition, supplements, things like that. And then I had both of my children who also have their own health concerns. And we actually started seeing a naturopath when they were very little. So that was almost 12 years ago. And I got really into nutrition, and I started a cooking school with a friend of mine where we taught other people cooking and nutrition. After I'd done some health coaching and a few other things, and eventually I decided that I was so interested, I wanted to go to university. So I enrolled and I started in nutrition for the first 2 years, but I enjoyed the whole side of herbs so much that I actually swapped into naturopathy and kept going from there. And honestly, it's a real passion of mine working in this industry. I love being able to help people naturally. So
That's
yeah.
amazing. I just want to take a second out to welcome Carlos. Nice to have you here tonight. Looking forward to catching up with you in person. So great to see you here. But great share, Nadia. It's always nice to know what other people are doing. And I was wondering why you're so knowledgeable, but that obviously figures. Did you want to ask anything, Nadia?
I do. And I love like the whole naturopathy component of it. I am writing some notes as well. So you see my little hands go like this every now and then. But when I had issues with a lot of my health issues towards polycystic ovarian syndrome and that sort of stuff, and I've just found that natural way is so much better. So yeah, thank you for joining us as well. But really, really cool to see you. And what do you find is the biggest problem when it comes to nutrition in the Australian population?
I'm going to say information. I think the problem is at the moment, and I hear it from a lot of my clients in my consults, and I hear it from a lot of customers who come into the store and chat to me, is there is so much information out there. Nobody actually knows exactly what's going on. And so they come in with something they saw on, from an influencer on Instagram, or something they saw on TikTok, or something they read on, some other social media, and what the government tells them to do. And eventually people just become so confused that they don't know which way to go. And so sometimes they do nothing, or sometimes they do everything all at once, which in itself can be just as problematic, to be honest.
Yeah, I've had that conversation with my personal trainer actually. I said, I'm just so confused. Like everybody says, because who's everybody? Just listen to one person and listen to a professional. And there's a lot of that happening on social media, like the TikTokers and the influencers and all the platforms.
Yeah, I agree. And
Mm.
it makes my job sometimes so much harder because you're trying to undo something. Then yeah, so I do spend a lot more time undoing things and trying to educate, which honestly is part of being a naturopath. We are technically educators. We are, part of our job is to actually help our clients understand, you know the reason behind what we tell them to do, not just, telling them to do something.
I was literally amazed last time when you did the footprints retreat with us that you shared with clients about. There was a couple of different things. There was so much to list, but about quality sleep. But one of the things that you really touched on that I was fascinated about, that I went on and did some more research about, is I'm really into understanding the energy magnetic fields in the human body, and I
Hmm.
want to do more research on that. And I'm contemplating doing a course for that. But the fact that someone like myself who suffers from fibromyalgia and central and chronic fatigue, and I have been for over 34 years now, you said that nothing comes as one. There's always a, number and a series of different things and events that occur to result in whether it's be fibromyalgia, whatever the situation may be, and it's obviously relevant to anybody. But I just, I'm just really intrigued. A lot of things in me to go and study and look up different things. Um, I had a question for you in regards to people who do suffer from fibromyalgia and chronic fatigues, if especially when it comes down to nutrition, because I know myself. Usually, when I wake up in the morning, I think I shared a little bit with this about this with you, Nick, where when I wake up each morning, I do my cold shower, I do my quick prayer, and I meditate, do my yoga and breath work. And from that, I would usually have a hot lemon water. Then it's followed with a celery juice, or I'll eat fresh celery and I'll journal and stuff like that. Take my vitamins and that, and before I go to work.
Mm.
So I have a really good routine in that, and I eat a pretty good diet. But when it comes to people who do suffer from chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, what sort of tips and advice would you offer them?
Okay, so there's a few things. First of all, also morning routine, but there are two things that I would add into it. And it's two things that I tell my clients all the time to do. And those two things are get early morning sun as soon as you wake up. So I generally tell my clients that as soon as you wake up, get outside and get some sunlight. One, it sets your circadian rhythm, but it also helps balance out your neurotransmitters. So it kind of
So,
sets
so
up
you
your
said
body
it
for the
sits.
day. Yeah, so early morning sun is just a really good way to set up that release of neurotransmitters that
Yep.
help balance you out for the rest of the day, but it helps reset circadian rhythm. So one of the biggest problems that we see in people with chronic pain and chronic fatigue symptoms is that their body runs out of energy very, very quickly. Obviously, they tire
Mm.
very quickly. And a lot of the times they're sleeping at times they shouldn't be. So a lot of times that circadian rhythm is a little bit out. So early morning sun, first thing in the morning, helps to reset that. And the other thing is grounding. And I remember speaking to you about grounding in that retreat, which is getting outside and putting bare feet on the earth, whether that be grass, dirt, as long as it
Yeah.
is bare feet on the earth. And that's simply to reset that electromagnetic field in the body that a lot
I
of the
do that.
time
Yeah.
that a lot of the time builds up. So two definitely important things. And the other thing, nutrition wise, for those kinds of things, they're two separate things, because fibromyalgia based on pain and the chronic fatigue generally is an immune system that isn't functioning as well as what it is.
Yes.
So, but they have one thing in common, and that's generally low protein. And it generally something that comes up quite a lot is
Did you
that
say
the
low protein?
the protein requirements, like, I mean, the majority of us will assume that we are getting enough protein, but modern diets tend to be a little heavier in things like carbohydrates. We eat a lot of
Yep.
rice and bread and pasta and cereal and oats, but a lot of the time those proteins, you know, don't get consumed as much or in the right quantities, because chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, they require more protein for the body to actually function and get through the day. So increasing the amounts of protein that you're eating is particularly important. And then it comes down to, I mean, for those two particularly, I generally spend a lot of time working on the immune system and the pain receptors in the body. So that is when I start supplementing.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I just want to go back to what you said in regards to getting sunlight. So I wake up at 4 o'clock every morning and I'm at the gym by 5. I work, I've got a couple of clients, and the sun doesn't usually come up to properly till about 10 o'clock. So that's when I get a chance to come home and I can go to the grass across the road and do my breath work and work on the grass for half an hour to 45 minutes, and I get some sunlight there. So yeah, no, that's great. I just kind of have to fit it in and work it around my day. But yeah, it's you've answered a lot of you've been very formative with that. Yeah.
My clock doesn't actually have that time. It's my clock starts at 7, and anything before that is not available to my brain. It's, yeah, but I definitely agree with the grounding is really important, because we do have things on our feet all the time. I don't actually wear shoes as much as I can, or even when I'm at a retreat or something like that. Shoes up, and it's just good for the body. um, yeah. So in relation to all of these disorders that are available to us, and I say that lightly, at the moment, these are things that haven't happened. More so they've happened in the last 200 to 300 years. And when it comes to gut health and some of the problems that people are suffering, especially like parasite issues, can you share some tips on what they can do to either avoid it or promote good health going forward?
Yep. Okay, so the one thing that the majority of us suffer from, apart from generally not having the best diet, is that there's those, and I generally say when we talk about probiotics, most people will know what I'm talking about. They'll know to walk into a chemist or something like that and pick up a probiotic off the shelf. But we also talk a lot about prebiotics. So prebiotic fibers like inulin and fibers you can get from globe artichokes and asparagus. PHGG is one that we use quite a lot in clinic, but feeding that good bacteria is just as important as getting that bacteria into the gut. Really good ways of getting that into the gut is obviously a lot of our probiotic rich foods like sauerkraut and kimchi, pepper, even things like sourdough bread that have been naturally yeasted. They're really good ways of feeding the good bacteria in the body and getting more bacteria into the body that's natural too. So that's a really important one. In regards to things like parasites and things like that, I've found that the vast majority of people can have a parasite and not know about it. So that's a really, the reason people tend to come to naturopaths with parasites is because they've suddenly had symptoms of it, and they've gone to a doctor, and the doctor's occasionally done checks. They do PCR checks or things like that to find them. And you'll still get a vast majority of doctors who will give antibiotics to get rid of them completely, or say, don't worry about them, everybody has them. And they are right in that sense, because yes, there are plenty of people out there who have parasites and don't have responses to them. But like in the case of Maydad, if there is something already there, you're likely to have more symptoms. And some people get very, specific symptoms. They lose weight quickly, or they are always tired, or they feel sick, or they get a lot of digestive disorders and things like that. I generally say if you're experiencing anything like that, go and see a naturopath, do the gut health tests, check what's actually there, because there are protocols for every different kind of gut issue. And it's not like a one shoe fits all kind of thing. It's everybody has very specific things that they need, because there are probiotics, and prebiotics to feed out some type of bacteria. There are herbs that supplements that help get rid of some, but not others. And generally the best thing to do is check first before you treat. Otherwise you can do more damage. And please do not just go and take oregano oil or anything like that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hi.
go ahead.
My name's Carlos. I've got severe sleep apnea and insomnia. So with me, I have a job that involves dealing with pretty much complaints nearly all day, every day. So basically, with everything that I go through with I don't get enough sleep. The insomnia, as soon as I do go to sleep, I break into dreams, and the sleep apnea, it's all about my breathing. I find that when I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and then 5:30 I head to work, I find that my tiredness has to stop, right? And then my energy has to come. So during the day, for some reason, somehow, I find all this energy to be this person that serves all the communities and does what he does. But when I get home, I just die, right? I completely break down, lay on the lounge. I barely have any communication with my wife. I feel that my mental health sort of, has been affected greatly by this. I've been a lab rat for sleep apnea tests. I've had masks, I've had straps, I've had everything to try and help. Nothing has really been anything that's helped me sort of through this. But what hurts me the most is because I'm not getting that sleep and I'm not getting that quality sleep, and I'm doing what I do through the day and then break down when I get home. I've had thoughts, and I don't mean to, scare anybody. I've had thoughts in my head at times that, what am I doing? Why am I here? And I'm a strong person inside. So what are those parasites you're talking about? And secondly, how can I have so much energy through the day to do what I do because I get paid for it, and then my personal life just fall apart, right? Because I've got nothing left.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So, and I mean, I know Medad wanted to talk about sleep to start with. So if we follow that, look, one of the biggest things we find is that people will be able to push through. Our adrenals are designed to do that, but we do end up with burnout. And that's probably what's happening at the moment, is the body is waking up in a state of being a bit wired. And so you push through, but then your body crashes when you get home.
But
I
what I
would
found out
suggest,
lately, sorry, what I found out recently, which I've never suffered from before, was anxiety. Until
yeah,
about, I think, 3 or 4 months ago,
yeah,
I said to my wife, I'm getting these feelings in the stomach. I don't know what they are. It's making me sick. It's making me, and this anxiety thing, it's almost like taken over everything sort of within me, because I'm not used to it. I didn't know what
yeah,
it was. And
yeah.
I deal with people like that. How would that just all of a sudden pop up in my life?
Honestly, Carlos, the best thing to do is actually book an appointment and come and see me and just sit and chat to me about it, because at this time I don't have the time to
yeah,
go
no,
into
no, I
depth with
understand.
it. But honestly, drop in and see me. I do see quite a lot of this in my clinic. It's one of my specialties. Most of what I deal with is gut health crossed with mental health. And it is a really big issue. But to try and go through it on here would take
No,
hours.
I just wanted to mention it because I'll get your details off Maydad.
Yep, that's
right?
fair enough.
I just wanted to mention it at the moment because this is new to me.
So
I deal with mental health every day, but this has just smashed me. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right. But
No,
definitely drop
that's
in and see
great.
me.
That's a great question, Carlos. Carlos, I'm feeling you, and I feel like I'm riding this journey with you as I hear Nadia and Nick talk to you, and when you ask that question, because I have had sleep apnea tests and stuff like that, and I've learned to somewhat throw the machine away. I no longer use the machine. I had it for 3 months, and I paid $2,000 or something for it from ResMed or something. Threw it away. I actually gave it away to Pauline, a friend of mine, and what I've done is I've done a lot of vertigo breathing with a guy called Dave Pemberton, who is here, the breath coach. But I'm sure you'll get a lot of positive input with Nadia, with Nick, when you go and see her for your if you make an appointment with her, as far as your gut and all that. But as you know, you've got credit with me as far as coming to see me. Come over and see me for your nasal breathing and all the other stuff. But go and see Nick. Like I said, what you are sharing here tonight is what probably the pop. If you look at the percentage of the population, there's probably the percentage is unbelievable. People that suffer the stuff that we or feel the way we feel, but they're just living day to day on instinct. And what happens is when you put yourself in the flight or fight mode for so long, you're burning 1 week more than the other. There's no balance. You don't recover properly.
That's your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. And the problem is that your sympathetic nervous system is designed to stop and reset and move to your parasympathetic nervous system. But our modern life, unfortunately, we see so many people with this elevated adrenaline, elevated cortisol. Cortisol especially is a very big problem at the moment. And because basically what happens is we're stuck in this fight or flight mode for such a long time that your cortisol levels go up and they don't come back down again. And that's where we see what we call adrenal fatigue, or our HPA axis dysfunction now, is that burnout. And so you see people
see me as Carlos the Invincible that can solve all these problems, but it's taken one person, and one was Maydad, and one was a person I didn't even know that said, mate, you're broken at the moment. This isn't the guy. Are you okay?
You're not broken, but what you do need is the support to get back. You need the support to get, no, but that's Maydad. A lot of people do think that out there. I didn't say again, I say that. No, they come in thinking they are because they don't know what's wrong. They're waking up anxious. They're waking up tired. They push themselves through the day because that's how they need to function. They're not sleeping really well at night. And then they're getting up and they're doing it over and over and over again until they burn out. And that's where our mental health issues are starting. We're starting to see elevated levels of depression and anxiety and all these other issues that are constantly popping up. And it is literally because we are not giving ourselves time. And it's a hard one because we are in a state where we need to work, we need to make money, we need to live, we need to, do what we need to do. But at the same time, our bodies aren't designed to push like this. And so when we get to that point, we reach out and hope somebody can help us. There's a lot of people out there who don't know who to reach out to.
Well, my problem is I don't reach out because I'm used to people reaching out to me.
Again, that is another really big one. And that's why, a lot of nutritionists and naturopaths out there, we spend a lot of time talking. So it is part of our job. But anyway, to get back onto it, I'm pretty sure, Maydad, that there was a question that you had about sleep. Yeah. I know there was a question.
Yeah, I just going back to that. I did have a question about sleep. Yeah, just going back to that for what you said to Carlos. But Carlos, today, I'll give you an example. I had 10 clients, 10 personal training sessions. So I did 8 sessions, but I had 2 people in 2 sessions, so 10 people I trained. Apart from that, I wake up at 4 in the morning. But what I've learned to do, and I'm speaking for myself because, as Nick said, and Nadia would tell you, everybody's different. What one shoe does not fit all, so it's a personal thing. Because I made sure when I woke up in the morning, I meditated and I prepared myself for work and had my morning routine to make sure that when I turn up, I service myself before I turn up, so I'm there because I see how much you give to Bondi community, and I think very few people service the Bondi community as much as you do. And then on top of that, I came back at lunchtime. I had a little lunch and had a siesta. I'm not saying you can do that, but there's different things that you can do during the day to re-stimulate and put you in a parasympathetic state. And I'm going to just share something really quickly, and it's going to sound a bit funny. I gargle water every day. I hum every day for half a minute each. I do certain things that put me in a parasympathetic. Now, Nikki's laughing and Nadia's laughing
No.
too.
So they're vagal nerve stimulators, and vagal
Yeah.
nerve stimulators
Yes.
are designed to put you into a parasympathetic state,
Stay.
but they're also designed to help calm anxiety,
Yeah.
and they're designed to actually reduce cortisol levels. That's what they do. So
And
they're actually a really, really smart thing to do. It's
so
nice to hear that people do them.
And even when I drive my son to my car, so by the time I get home, Carlos, I've got to be up to 9 o'clock. Like tomorrow night, I've got to be up to 9 o'clock because I'm taking him soccer training. So I'll do nasal breathing, but I close one nasal and I breathe in and out through my nasals, doing box breathing for 5 minutes, and that puts me in a parasympathetic state, especially if I close the right one because the left one is. But I don't want to go on talking in that. I'll talk to you about that when I see you. But I'm sure Nadia's dying to ask you a question. Um,
I've always
so I'll
felt,
pass it over to her.
and I'm sitting back here like giggling to myself because this is all so important, and I love how each one of us, and I'll even link you to Carlos on that because servicing the community is really important, but you have to treat yourself first, and you have to fill your cup before you can let it overflow to everybody else, because there's an abundance of love and care for the community, but without you there's no do. So yeah, that's one thing that I've learned with I've gone through exhaustion and burnout 3 times. I'm a very slow learner, and that's one thing that I had to learn like severely. And it's like it's okay not to answer the phone. It's okay not to listen to somebody when you're in survival mode. It's okay to, stop and eat something. I'm chronic diabetic, and I think it was probably a huge wake-up call when I realized that I'm not eating. And a lot of people do, they choose other people rather than having a decent meal and connecting with the food that they like and that sort of stuff as well. So I guess my next question is, um, in your opinion, how often do you hear that people don't look after themselves?
More often than I hear them tell me that they do look after themselves. I was just going to say it's that whole thing about, when you're on an airplane, it's like you put your mask and your seatbelt on first, and then you help everybody else. Because if you aren't safe and well, how can you turn up for other people? I see it a lot, especially with mums, because they spend so much effort with everybody else that they sort of come last. And the same with a lot of, executive people who have very busy jobs, and they're always trying to do everything, and that they sort of forget to eat or, do those self-care things. But they are so important, because letting those slip is how you end up in burnout. And so it's doing those little things every single day for yourself. Take 5 minutes to have that cup of tea, go outside. And I understand people saying, like, I don't have time to step outside. You have a minute to step outside, put your feet onto some grass, look at the sun, go back inside. Like, all it takes is that 1 minute to just do some deep breathing, take a beat, and then move on. And it's even that like tiny little moment can make all the difference to the rest of your day. And so I say, like, have that bath at nighttime before you go to bed, even if it is your kids walking in and having a conversation with you and then leaving, or closing a door and doing some breathing and then opening it again. It's, they're the ways that we move forward without having that burnout. So, yeah.
Nick, Nick and Nadia, I thought I'd share something with you because you touched on something really that I've been doing for the past 45 days. And Carlos, you might want to try this, but there's a thing on the internet. It's a place, it's a website called Mind Valley, and they teach all these. They talk to neurologists and all that, and the guy brings in all these life coaching. He's already got all these life coaching courses and all these scientists and neurologists and specialists talking about different subjects like we're talking about tonight. But one of the things that he talked about is the ability to get into your alpha status. And I don't know if any of you have heard of this, but there's a guy that came up with this new method where for 10 days, when you're sleeping in bed, as soon as you wake up, you breathe slowly and breathe out, and you count from 100 to 1 for 10 days. So I did that really slowly as I was breathing in through my nasal breathing and out nasal breathing. I counted from 100 to 1 for 10 days. And when I woke up, I was in alpha status. So it allowed me to stay in my alpha status, in that state that I was in bed. And it is actually the same state that you are in when you are creative, when you are most creative. You need to be in that state to get that creative ability out of you. And the next 10 days, I went from 50 to 1 slowly. Then the following 10 days, I went from 25 to 1. And in the last 10 days, I went from 10 to 1. Of just 5 days ago, I finished from 10 to 1, and I did it really slowly. And now in the day, if I wouldn't say overwhelmed, but I've got so much going on, even when I'm driving my car, I can do it with my eyes open. You don't even have to have your eyes closed, but you just have to be mindful of what your goal is. And now I feel myself, I feel my heart rate slowing down, I feel myself calming down, and actually feel myself getting myself in, as Nick said, parasympathetic state, away from the flight or fight mode, which your sympathetic state, So I'll share that with you when I see you, Carlos, but it's so easy to do. It requires a bit of discipline, but it's so easy to do.
I guess discipline is the other thing, the huge component of everything as well. So making that decision to change that behavior and the perception of what you're doing, and then follow through with it. So, and it's like a contract with your soul that you need to make, really. That I'm going to look after my nutrition, right? And this is a decision, and I'm going to do it for the rest of my life. I'm going to make peace with my mind, and I'm going to do this and decide and keep doing it. That's been my problem for my last 42 years, that's for sure. So
yep.
I'm learning.
No, same. It's and the thing is, the actual learning curve is knowing when you fall off the wagon, how to get back on again and go, oops, and move forward, not oops and stop.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest learning curve for all of us, is just knowing how to just keep going every time you make those mistakes. Because same. That's taken me a good 40 something years to really master.
I thought you were 37.
Aww, me.
Anyhow,
Shucks.
What do you call it? There's a thing called your baseline, and a lot of when it comes to chronic fatigue and CFS health programs, and they talk about your baseline for something like Carlos or Nadia, anybody like myself, to find your baseline. And so I'm going to talk to Carlos about when I see him find his baseline. And when you find your baseline, if anytime you find yourself veering off it, so I'm going to give an example. For example, today, okay, I've had 10 clients. I know I've done a lot, but I had a break for half an hour in between work, and I went and got a massage. So I knew I was going to have 10 clients. So I prepared myself for it. at 9 o'clock tonight, I'm going to meditate and I'm going to go to bed so I'm ready and fresh for tomorrow morning. So we have to sometimes, if it means not watching the State of Origin, or if it means not going out with your friends and that, because you know if you do, you're going to feel a little burnt out in a few days' time, then that's what you got to do. And that's why it's so important. Like once you find your baseline and you find yourself veering off it, to slowly understand what you need to do to come back on it. And it's not, I thought it was rocket science, but I realized after doing a couple of programs with CFS Health and spending a hell of a lot of money, that it was just simple. But I had a question for you, Nick. Is there anything particular you wanted to share tonight in regards to what you feel um, a lot of the population misunderstand or are misguided when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to diet, when it comes to, like you touched on six of the most important things when we talked about your energy magnetic fields, about being grounding, uh, getting quality sleep. Of course, I know you didn't speak too much about hydration, but I know that's common sense. But is there anything that you feel the public, like any of our viewers watching this back, or any of the people here tonight can take home? And is there anything in nutrition that you feel that is really not really understood well by the public, and how important it is to have a good balanced diet? Because as you said, not one shoe fits everybody, and to find out what you need,
Yeah.
you need to see someone like yourself.
Yeah, because for every condition, there is a particular type of diet that is going to suit that person. So for some people with certain chronic illnesses, drinking celery juice will really help. But for people, I know celery juice has been touched on quite a lot, but celery for some people can be quite unhealthy if they've got kidney issues, because too much celery can cause kidney issues. But it's supplementation. Don't just go into into a chemist or something and just, oh, I heard this was good for it, and start taking a supplement. Check it out first. Obviously, it's that I do believe in the 80-20. I've always believed in the 80-20, because people who try and stick to a perfect diet will always fall off it at some point.
What do you mean when you mean 18-20? You mean like
eat well
80?
80% of the time. If you eat well 80% of the time, the 20% of the time that you fall off the wagon, have that donut, drink that extra glass of wine, don't exercise that day that you thought you were, that you had planned on, then, those kinds of things aren't the be all and end all. You just keep on with that. I do the best thing for you. And like you already said, getting good quality sleep, drinking enough water, staying hydrated, getting out into nature, having time with yourself, but with other people. We're human. We're designed to be around other people. But we also need to know when we need to be alone and to settle into ourselves. We do need to eat well. Eating the rainbow, eating all the fruits and veggies, good quality lean meat. I know I have a lot of clients who are vegetarian or vegan, or who follow paleo or keto, or have to follow inflammatory diets and things like that. But it's still the same thing, eat good proteins, eat your fruits and veggies, however you do that, it still needs to be balanced. And it can be balanced across a day, not each meal.
Yes,
if that's the case, with sometimes that it's just hard to fit it in. But yeah.
I followed the medical medium for 18 months, and I was so strict with my diet. And I'm not saying I don't recommend it. I loved it, but it was causing inflammation because it was so grainy. It was too much carbs. And obviously, for someone like me, I don't need too much carbs in my body. It might suit somebody. I missed my chicken. I missed my, the protein that I was getting from some of the meats that I was eating. I don't eat too much meat, but chicken and kangaroo steak or something like that I enjoy. But yeah, I think like you said, if you can't just go off, you know, into a diet that you don't know nothing about and just, oh, look, I saw this and I'm going to do this and it's done good for this person. It's going to do good for me. So,
Yeah.
yeah, everybody's different.
Yeah, I do hear a lot of that. Oh, but my friend told me, or I saw this, and it takes generally a few questions of, do you take any medication? You know, do you have any specific type of disease, or is this wrong with you? And a lot of the time it'll be no, 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 and I'm like, so why are you doing it? And then it'll be like, well, how about you try this instead? You know, from what they've told me about whatever is, you know, their symptoms or their case, and you think, try this, and a lot of the time they'll come back and go, oh, that worked really well for me. And I go, because you are different. And so really realistically, a lot of the time it comes down to, if there is a problem and you are concerned or you want some help, there are naturopaths or nutritionists in most health food stores, you know, most pharmacies. Drop in and just have a chat to somebody, and then go and, you know, try these things out. But better off doing it with some information than not.
100%. I mean,
Problem is for me is the overwhelming amount of information. Like I, as Maydad will tell you, like with my job as a ranger, I speak to so many personal trainers throughout the day, and many of them, you know, they say they care about me. They've known me for a long, long time. They tell me about a diet that they think would be good for me, but in a space of 100 meters, I'll find 4 or 5 personal trainers that'll tell me a complete different thing. So, I mean, like to me, like I just go, okay, I'm back to square one. I have no idea what to do.
So
That's why,
yeah.
that's where you need to
Carlos,
go and see Nic,
yeah,
because
Carlos.
these guys are just personal trainers. Nick, someone like Nick is a specialist. I'll let Nick answer this, but yeah.
Yeah. So the difference between, I can't knock personal trainers because I've had a lot of good ones over my life, but my degree makes me a clinical naturopath, and the difference between that is that I have to study all of the science. I have to study the research. I have to do continued education to keep up to date with all of the new research that's coming out. And it is science backed. It's not looking at whatever influencer or whatever diet is, you know, trending at the moment. It is looking at bloods. It is looking at, you know, gut microbiome testing. It's looking at organic metabolite testing. You know, there are, you know, I do DNA testing and things like that too, you know, food intolerance testing. It all comes down to what the science is telling you, as opposed to just what you know, what somebody feels might work for you, which is generally why you need to see a professional instead of just getting information from someone who might have an idea but isn't, you know, doesn't have that professional knowledge backing them, basically. So my thing with everybody is, I am in store Mondays and Tuesdays. If you just want to drop in and ask a question, by all means do that first. It's not about having to book a consult or coming in and seeing me if you have a quick question. But if it becomes like a thing that needs to really be looked into, that's when you actually need to just bite bullet and just, you know, you've actually got to do something about it.
I'll get your details off Maydad, you
Yeah.
know, because I will come and see you, and I know that a huge part of what I need is what Maydad can provide, and that is training, you know, by mental and physical fitness. But what
Yep.
you offer and what you've said to me today, I'm actually looking forward to coming and see you.
Yeah.
It's I'm just trying to say something. It's not even just physical fitness, Carlos. What Nick is sharing with you. Obviously, the first thing, your mind controls everything. Your mind gets into a state because your body is run down. Like with this energy magnetic field stuff that I'm studying and looking into, it's like a car. Why does a car break down? Why does a part of the engine break down? If you don't have enough oil in it and it's drained and that, the car's going to break down, it's going to overheat. It's like the human body. It's no different than a car. And don't want to take over Nick's session. This is her session, but I'm just sharing with you because what Nick does and what I do is completely different, but they all both complement each other. You know, they both complement each other. And I just got off the phone from my Australian Olympic coach, boxing coach, who was my coach uh, yesterday, and I spoke to him and I said to him, when I got chronic fatigue and I had to give up boxing, I was heartbroken for 18 months. And when I went back to the professors and that, and they told me you need to get into a sport that you don't have to cut weight. So I got into competitive aerobics, and I was fortunate enough to beat world champions and stuff like that, even though I never got to go to the World Aerobic Championships because the chronic fatigue hit me again because it was so intense. But what I'm saying is that sometimes you think that you're fit and you're losing weight and all that, but you don't realize how much damage you're doing to your body. There's a lot of people out there that look fit, they're running around, they're just damaging their body more than they're actually doing good for it. So I really motivate you to go and see someone like Nick and speak to her. And it's a marriage made in heaven when you complement it with something like what I do and what she does, because like I don't just train people. I take them for a walk around the harbour, or I take them to Parsley Bay for a swim or something. Or I sit them at the gym and we talk about stuff. We write stuff down. We do proper journaling, and there's all kinds of stuff. I'm so glad to see you. I don't want this to be overwhelming, all this information, because for me, when I first heard this stuff, I felt like, wow, there's so much wrong with me. But it's just really motivated me to just, it was one step closer to healing.
Yeah, I look with me, Nick, after listening to Nick and with you, Maydad, I know you're a very spiritual, positive person, but with you, I need for you to get the Carlos that I was so proud and have been most of my life, and that is with my health, body, and soul. And with Nick, it's about, I think, me just understanding things so that I can get on a good path to a good health environment without relying on medications or other stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing both of you.
Yeah, no, we look forward to seeing you. But Nadia, do you have any questions for Nick?
I have a lot of questions actually, and I think it would be worth
There'll
even
be another time.
yeah, we should revisit this in the future again. But I guess just to finalize everything tonight, because I know I think we're just going over a little bit over time. So I guess, how do people find you? What can you do them with, and what sort of resources can you recommend for people to just learn more, especially learn when to contact you?
Okay, so contacting me wise, I can leave my details with Maydad,
I've
or
got a couple of cards at the gym, so I'll give it to
yeah,
Carlos.
yeah, or Nadia. I can give them to you so you can get them out. But honestly, I'm at the Health Emporium across the road from Maydad's gym. I'm there Mondays from 8 till 4 and Tuesdays 8 till 3 in store. And you can contact me via email, give me a call, drop into the website, which is www.nicrevelman.com, and that's everything's on my website, so that you can book consults through there, or you can send me an email through there to have a chat about something. And otherwise, resources and things like that, I find those can be quite difficult, because again, without starting to point you in the direction of people to follow, it depends on what what things you're interested about, because we have our female hormone specialists and our gut specialists and our SIBO specialists. So depending on what particular things you're interested in, I can point you in 100 different directions. But honestly, at this stage, going into bookstores and picking up just like some of the healthy cookbooks and things like that are a really good place to start, because learning how to cook well It's honestly one of the, and it's actually like just learning to cook is one of my favorite things to teach my clients, is because that is the fastest way to look after your health, is just learning the basics of how to make a simple, well-balanced meal. Because
Something
if you can do that, yeah.
Nick, something as small as I've just noticed, you know, those non-stick pans, I chuck them all out. I've chucked all my non-stick pans out because once you clean them and you scrape them, that all the
That's gone.
metal goes into your
Yeah.
cooking. So you
Yep.
you find yourself, your body, you're carrying too much metals
Oh.
in your body. I've now
Yep.
got a stainless steel. I use a
Yep.
wooden spoon when I'm cooking. I don't use,
Yep.
you know, and just
I could go on and on about that, Maydad. It's the same thing with our water, and I have filtered water, you know, in the kitchen for
yes,
cooking and washing. And for women, it's, and men, I suppose, for what makeup you put on your face, what, you know, washing detergents that you use for cleaning your products, what deodorant you use. Like, it's not just about, you know, the food that you put in your body. It is about everything that goes on your body as well, because all of that is can be just as toxic as what you're
even
putting in your body food wise.
My best friend is the air fryer.
Yeah.
Yep. Love the air fryers, as long as you're using, you know, like the silicon inserts and things like that, and not throwing in the alfoil packets. And I know that some people throw in, or the microwave plastics, and but yeah, I could do an entire session on just things to cook and wash and clean with. So
Maybe we need to book you in again in a couple of
I'm seriously planning on doing like one of those Instagram things where it's like a day in the life of, it's like all the things that I use.
Well, in that case, maybe we should start the Instagram for you, and we'll just ask you each day what we should do.
Yeah.
Nick, it's been an amazing session. I thank you for your time, and great to see Carlos, and always nice for me to catch up with Nadia. And time is ticking, and I know
Yep.
you've all got work tomorrow, so I just wanted to finish on this. Obviously, we have just wanted to share with our viewers, we've got some important events coming up. Our Footprints Retreat again is on the 18th, 19th, and 20th of July. And obviously, we're going to have you there doing the nutritional session, and Dave Pemberton, who does the breath work. We had some great feedback from the corporate group that we had last time. They just loved everything that you had to share with them. They just wanted more and more. They actually sent Nadia a message to say that they just thought everything was amazing. That they wanted more from you about sleep. They wanted more from Dave Pendleton. They wanted more stuff from me. They enjoyed everything that we did, from the infrared saunas, the ice baths, the food that were fed, and the team building sessions that we had. So I'm really looking forward to that. And if anyone wants to know about our upcoming retreat on the 18th, 19th, and 20th of July, please shoot us a message. Maybe you can DM Nadia, and maybe Nadia can leave a little contact detail and a phone number at the end of this. But it's been a great session, and it's nice to see you again. I'll no doubt see you sometime this week. I'll pop over and say hello at the Health Emporium. So have a good
Thank
night,
you.
everybody.
Thank
And
you.
you're welcome, Carlos. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye.
See you, everyone.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.